So yeah, good afternoon everybody. I'm very happy to be here today, share some perspectives on renewables, and more specifically on bio-based chemicals, renewable chemicals. For those of you not familiar with Axens, we are a technology provider and catalyst supplier for the oil and gas, petrochemical and renewable industries. But before I start my presentation, I'd like to share some thoughts, if you let me, some thoughts about a challenge that we're all facing today. I want to talk about plastics. Plastics are everywhere in our daily life. I mean, we've got plastics in our clothes, in our shoes, in our cars. Plastics, you know, they're used for packaging, for bottling. I mean, they're everywhere. So hard to imagine a world without plastics, really, yet. Large-scale production and use of plastics only date back to the 50s. So it's not that long ago. I mean, don't get me wrong, plastics are amazing. I mean, the challenge is just the way we dispose of them. So as we speak, there are billions of tons of plastics that have been produced, and only a third in use, and a fraction that's been recycled, another fraction that's been incinerated, and a vast majority that's in landfills and natural environments. And as you can see on the graph, forecasts are just in terms of global production. So now that's set, what do we do? That's the tricky question. So from our perspective, there are three ways to face this challenge. The first one is to optimize the resources. Oh, here's my presentation too. Optimize the resources, yes. Basically, it's a bit like the 3R approach. 3R. Reuse, reduce, reuse, recycle. So you reduce basically using plastics. You reuse as much as you can, you know, the stuff that's needed, and you recycle everything that's going to be reused. It's very simple. Now really, to be honest, and that's only me speaking, I think a good plastic is the one that, you know, you're not going to be using. And it goes roughly the same for fuels. I mean, this is, well, it's our, you know, responsibility to act as a society. I mean, for our kids and the next generation. There's lots of students here, so I mean, it's good to see. You know, and so the sort of the next step is to develop new pathways. I mean, new routes, you know, less harmful to the environment with respect to fossil-based technologies, and that's the heart of my presentation. That's what we're going to see in a minute. And the third point, and we at Axens are quite keen on this one, is open innovation. And I mean open innovation with external companies like small, medium, large companies, can be startup companies, you name it, research institutes, universities, taking, you know, many different forms, like a partnership, like alliances, incubation, joint ventures, you name it. I think open innovation is definitely key to tackling this challenge. That's about it for my thoughts today. So now let's go to the core business, the heart. Let's think about alternative pathways. And that's, well, these are, yeah, our new routes are, yeah, this is our technology portfolio for, you know, making renewable fuels and bio-based chemicals. And as you will see on the slide, there are some names that means like technologies that are commercial, which means like ready to be installed. I mean, you know, it's ready. Like names like vegan, gazelle, futural, atoll, and some other names that we call project. A project is like a technology that's on the verge of being commercialized, like biofuel, bio-butterfly, bio-cat, lots of fancy names. And all these technologies have been proven at pilots, semi-industrial, and commercial scales, depending on the case. So I suggest that we start, yes, that's the overall. We start the snapshot of our portfolio of technology for bio-based chemicals with one that's very interesting, and that's called Futural. Futural is the beginning of our journey, the beginning of our portfolio. It's, you know, our roots, our new roots for making, renewable fuels and bio-based chemicals. It's a technology that's been developed in 2008 with 4 R&D companies, supported by financial partners, obviously, and industrial leaders like Total, Tereos, if you're familiar with those names. Just to give you, just some figures to have an idea. Futural, it's 11 partners. It's more than 30 patents, 110 scientific publications for a total investment of 90 million euros over 10 years. So that's, someone would say that's quite significant. And what do we have today? We have I'd rather say, a simple but very robust process technology for making bioethanol and 2G sugars. 2G for second generation. We've built a pilot plant unit in Pomac, that's in France, with a capacity of 1 ton per day of dry biomass, and also proven what we believe are the most critical section of the process, and that's the pre-treatment units and the enzyme production at industrial scale. And that's the second portion. As of today, this is the largest ever built unit that's run at full capacity in the world. That's roughly 10 kilotons per year. And yes, we at Axens are the exclusive licensor for Futural. We are today commercializing the technology worldwide. Yeah, just also a few words on, you know, the way we treat the biomass, because we've heard a lot about biomass, and it's so important. Futural has to be the most flexible technology in terms of, you know, the way we process biomass and the way we can adapt to the different biomass that there are out there. So we first started our journey with wheat straw, miscanthus and poplar, and then extended all our experiments with, you know, very wide variety of biomass in order to validate the adaptability of our process. And we also produce, I've mentioned second generation sugars, C5 and C6, and that's destined to the renewable chemical industry. The level of purity of those sugars is really going to depend on the type of application that's required, but yes, C5 sugars are very specific to lignocellulosic biomass. This is what we're talking about, and really this is like I like to see it as a platform, you know, for the next generation of chemistry, what, you know, all the new molecules that we're going to be able to derive out of the C5 sugar chemistry. That's quite exciting, actually. Right, let's carry on the journey. So we were there Futurol. Now we've got the atoll technology. That's our commercial technology for making bioethylene out of ethanol. It's a dehydration process, ethanol to ethylene, developed with our partners, that's IFP Énergie Nouvelle and Total. Total is the French refiner. And that was, I think, developed in 2013 initially. The main feature of the technology is based on a very highly selective catalyst, 5 times more active than traditional ones, and also the thermal aggregation, just to make sure that we lower the OPEX, operating expenditure. So because we have such a highly selective catalyst, it's also very good in terms of, for the cold section. The cold section is the purification of the ethylene, which is, well, simpler, I'd say, than traditional processes, and especially in terms of, those purification sections are very capex intensive. So, with respect to competition, we're doing pretty well there. So, it's cost effective. And then we have the fancy name, BioButterfly. That's an ongoing project, as I was saying. So we're still developing the technology, and that's for making butadiene out of ethanol again. It's a collaboration again with IFP Énergie Nouvelle and Michelin. I'm sure you're familiar with Michelin. It's a very interesting technology again. We have a pilot unit in Lyon, in France, and we're about to build a demonstrator. So that's just, going to validate the process in terms of like technical bits and pieces, and also the economics of the process. And really the idea here was to, well, it's mainly based on, for the problematic for butadiene, C4, it's the diversification of the resources for butadiene, and obviously at the same time, making it less harmful to the environment using renewable feedstock. And then on the other side, we've got the other kinky name, BioTCat, and that's for making aromatics out of renewable resources. So we've got typically BTX, benzene, toluene, and xylene. And that's via flash pyrolysis. It's a collaboration with 4 companies. There's a small one that's called Anelotech. That's a startup companies in the US, and they've developed the core technology, which is called BioTCat. Johnson Matthey, it's catalyst development. IFP Énergie Nouvelle again for what's around process scale-up and optimization, and we at Axens are in charge of process design and licensing. That's our core business. Here again we have a pilot unit in the US, in Texas, and we're currently running some tests in order, to go a little further and have some, scale up to be done and prove the process at a, demonstrator type of scale units. So I think I'm about, Mr. Chairman, just about right on the timing. So that's, the final slide again. If there's just, one takeaway here is remember, to optimize our resources, the 3 are: reduce, reuse, and recycle. I think that's very important, especially for the next generation. And we have to do a big effort, that's for sure. And obviously develop new pathways and, yes, open innovation. Thank you very much.